Hello everyone, can you hear me okay? Clear? So thank you for coming to the session. Yeah, it's great to see so many of you turn out for it. And I realise it's me between yourselves and your lunch, so I'll try and make this as interesting as I can. And I've tried to really focus today more on case studies, success stories with our clients, and less really about the technology. I think the technology choices don't really matter if the outcome's not effective in what we call an intelligent employee experience. So we'll be talking about a few different parts of an employee experience as we see them at Advania, and bring that to life with real client case studies. I'm Jake Harvey, lead our automation team at Advania, been with the company for around 6 years and 10+ years of digital transformation experience. My focus over that time has been right from the beginning of the kind of concept around digital workplace, everybody moving to the cloud, learning to collaborate better through digital technology, then moved into a position of working with low-code technologies and introducing concepts like citizen development into organizations, and now a much broader automation proposition. We're in a period of time where automation is very exciting, whether that's your traditional, more logical-based automation or the intelligent automation that everyone's obviously here to hear about. So yeah, after this, if anyone has got any kind of automation use cases that you want to discuss, please do come and speak to us. We have a stand just out there. Quickly about Advania, some of you may or may not have heard of us. So we're a deeply focused Microsoft partner. Everything we do as an organization is in the Microsoft space. And over the last 15, 20 years, Advania has come together, especially within the UK, through acquisitions of different Microsoft partners. It started with brands like Content and Cloud for anyone who may have worked with us in the SharePoint Exchange space in the past. But since then, we've acquired different companies in the cybersecurity space, in the Azure space, and recently in the reseller space as well. So really trying to be that Microsoft powerhouse. And we're not only in the UK, we span across all of Northern Europe and are owned by the Advania Group. So yeah, for anything around your Microsoft needs, please do come and speak to us because yeah, we do have deep expertise in this space. Our proposition spans across what we call within the Microsoft world as the 3 clouds. So that's Azure, M365 and Dynamics. And whether it's modernization that you're trying to achieve, whether it's bringing general new infrastructure to support some of the exciting capabilities you're trying to introduce within your organization, or whether it's things like business change and adoption, you've made that technology investment, you've got good technical skills within-house, but actually it's that change management that you need support with, or some of those people-focused areas we're definitely experts in too. And we provide solutions completely by need, whether that's employee experiences we're talking about today, anything around business agility, as everyone does adopt more capable technology, that ability to be more mobile and agile as an organization, it's important to consider. And the big one being around security, obviously different stream here today, but security is a big focus within Advania, and a recent acquisition of ours really enabled us to grow in this space and the cybersecurity space to give that holistic set of advice to our clients when working with us in Microsoft technology. So today, we're going to be looking at, I guess, how we introduce different employee experiences to our clients and really focusing on the different automation experiences that exist within every organization. And yeah, I really like this quote by Salesforce, really simple, but AI generally is about making humans more productive. And I think we really jump to the thought of, what technology should we go and invest in? I think we should be looking at the kind of process level, that productivity level, and what can we introduce to save minutes, save hours, and eventually over time really save a lot of time and money within our organizations and really deliver value to our employees. We're not just introducing technology for the sake of it. So the kind of strapline within what I set with my team of what we're trying to achieve with our clients is enable organizations to shift the responsibility of repetitive tasks to technology. It's really our mission statement with every client that we're working with, and hopefully these 3 as automation experiences do resonate with you. Every single organization on the planet, regardless of their maturity in each of these experiences, have these 3 experiences at play. Personal automation, that ability to, when you start your job, complete the tasks that you're responsible for in the most effective and efficient way. Is there technology you can lean on to enable you to do that to the best of your ability? Defined automation, probably the one that we're all most familiar with, that ability to break down logical processes and hand that over to technology to go and complete for us. And we're in a situation now where parts of that process may become intelligent, but ultimately the process could be described with us using AI to achieve certain tasks much faster with a very defined outcome. And then finally, intelligent automation. So where intelligence is fundamental to the success of that automation experience. And I guess the reason that I say, all three of these will always exist in every single organization is, even in your smallest organizations where maybe they haven't invested in intelligent automation technologies yet, users will be going off to publicly available tools to help them achieve certain tasks that their organizations aren't providing them. So I think whenever we're looking at use cases, we always try and align the use cases into one of these three buckets, and it gives us a way of measuring that individual focus within your automation strategy of how you're driving each of these experiences forward. Just an example of each of these if they're not clear already. So in the context of file management, right? So personal automation would be, I want to save files that are important to me automatically from emails, and I'll personally define where they go, right? It's specific to your role and specific to your preferences. It's automation that you will personally set out. Defined automation would be more that there's files that you want to store, and you want to automate that process of storing things like project files with the right metadata against them. You've got defined criteria where specific files have specific logic around them, and it might be the project information that's stored with them means that it's automated to go and get stored in that project area. And finally, an intelligent automation scenario across file management would be, we're not going to predefine any of the metadata around our files. We're going to use intelligence to intelligently categorize our files in the right locations within M365. So hopefully what we mean by these different experiences is clear from this as an example. But like I say, after the session, if you've got any examples of where you see different use cases within your organization fitting in this type of strategy, please come to our stand and we can help you put them in the right box. And to bring any of these end user experiences to life, it's important to have the right set of automation capabilities. Otherwise, these end user experiences just cannot succeed. And we use this as a really good tool to almost create somewhat of a Venn diagram between the experience you're trying to bring to life and potentially the capabilities you'll need to invest in, introduce, improve to bring that end user experience to life. So if we take something like Microsoft 365 Copilot, anyone within the Microsoft world at the moment working with Microsoft technology will be considering how they can use Microsoft 365 Copilot. But to enable that correctly, there's a few capabilities that you need to get right within your organization. Firstly, you need to provide the end user app for that, right? You're going to surface that through Teams. We need the ability to put some governance around not only Microsoft 365 Copilot, but also our content. The biggest problem with Copilot is making sure that your data is actually accurate. Otherwise it's bad data in, bad data out. And then potentially to expand Microsoft 365 Copilot and extend it into a state where it's actually useful for your organization. You may look at integration scenarios where more data than just M365 is being ingested into Copilot. So you begin from that personal automation experience to light up the certain capabilities that you need. So what I want to do now is take you through an example that we've delivered. The first one's within Advania ourselves, and then two different experiences with our clients. So first one around personal automation and making sure that we're leveraging automation to provide for us a really positive hiring experience. And the hiring experience is a really good one, right? If you have a bad hiring experience, you walk into an organization already a bit like, have I made a bit of a mistake here? And when trying to really hire great talent and diverse talent, this can be a really good way to utilize intelligence to make sure you're hiring the best people that you possibly can. So this is the Advania careers website, just like every other careers website really. There's a list of current openings that we've got, and any candidate can come to our public website, select the role that they're interested in, And then there's the typical information that you'd expect there to be, the responsibilities of the role, the qualifications that you'd hope somebody has, if there's any security clearance requirements as part of that, a little bit of information about Advania. But maybe, I've got a question that's not being quite covered in here that, is important to me. And in this scenario, we're really focusing on accessibility. So the applicant applying for the role is interested to understand if Advania cater for any accessibility requirements if somebody has hearing difficulties. So directly through, from a technology perspective, this is via Copilot Studio, providing an external-facing application to potential candidates to interact with, where they're able to ask, do you cater for people with hearing difficulties? And it's pointing into our internal content, finding our policy around this information, and immediately bringing that back to the candidate. They also then ask about what our working from home policy is. It's not mentioned throughout the job description. And again, they can quickly get that information. I guess without automation existing here, you'd have to try and get in touch with our talent team, maybe before you've even applied. You're not sure whether your CV is going to get a response. And ultimately, you may be a great candidate, but without this experience not being there and it not being obvious that we do cater for certain accessibility needs, you may not apply for the role, and Advania have lost out on a great candidate. So yeah, this is a solution at the moment that we've got in pre-production at Advania, and we just think it's going to be a really great addition to bring in a more diverse and talented workforce into Advania. So continuing on to this, so an applicant, that applicant decided that, this is great, I like the look of the role, and I'd love to apply for Advania. So as the hiring manager within Copilot for M365, I'm using an agent that we've built here to make sure that I'm prepped for the interview correctly. First of all, I want to understand, the questions that I should be asking. It's going to pull data from the CV, from the job application, and really cross-reference all of that information to give me a starting point to prep. So it's giving me an overview of the candidate, whether there's any considerations around accessibility that it's pulled out, and then specific questions that potentially I may ask here. So yeah, this agentic experience I think is a great example of how we've extended Copilot for M365 here. It's still in the same user interface. From a personal productivity perspective, I'm not having to navigate between many documents and collate all of this information myself. And it really makes me more productive as a hiring manager to bring the right information to the interview that I'm preparing for. What's great here though, and not sure if any of you use this functionality of the ability to start making AI-generated content more collaborative. So within M365, there's this concept called loop. So out of this generated information now, I can open a loop component. I could invite other colleagues in. You can see here I'm tagging an office manager to make sure that they're booking a room within our office that caters for someone with hearing difficulties. And it starts to make that, that Gen AI experience more collaborative within your organization. It's not just content that once it's created you throw away, but makes me more informed, make sure the right people are informed in our organization to make then that candidate experience when they come into our office for an interview, much better end to end. Okay, so that was a personal automation example. Next, we're going to look at something more defined. And the example of this with a big financial client, based in London, and they have a governance, risk and compliance process where all of their risks are stored in an external system. Every single risk needs a control description. So an example risk would be access control. If the wrong people have the wrong access to your office, obviously, it's not a good thing. And this can come from your JML process. It can be from contractors. It can be from certain roles that have temporary passes. How are we going to manage this risk? And the way that they store these risk controls is in this who, what, when, why, how framework. But the process before we worked with the client was that thousands of risks were manually over a 3-month period being manually analysed against a framework of quality. So against that who, what, why, when framework, how are we managing that risk? Very manual task, high cost. They would get a contractor to do this, and ultimately probably quite inconsistent if you're manually analysing lots of control descriptions. It's not going to be dependent on your personal mood, how many you've been through that day. The accuracy, I think, of your calculation there is probably off somewhat. So By utilizing generative AI, we're able to create a prompt framework around this process. So telling AI what our goal is, ultimately, for a specific risk control description and all risk control descriptions within our business, we want to analyze them against this predefined framework of quality. We want to, at the end, essentially spit out a score for that specific control description to understand how it benchmarks against the rest of our control descriptions. And this is what it spits out. So you can see for that control description that we just had on the screen, it breaks it down into that framework, it deducts points, and for that specific access control, it spits out a score of 75 out of 100. But it's the outcome of this, right? And there's lots of use cases of analysing large portions of data and trying to get a specific output from each line of data. So a process that took 3 months previously now is down to 2 hours. The cost of the process is now at £200 per run, rather than a contractor on a day rate for 3 months constantly. An ability that they didn't have before was to holistically do an ad hoc description review. If they ever get a random audit or get asked for a specific topic within their risks to be analysed to understand how well they're managing that, it's just a manual process previously to have to go through and find all those bits of data. That ability to run any process on demand. So when you're writing new control descriptions, hit run, you understand the quality of it immediately. And I think what's the most impressive part about this, zero code. Not one line of code was written for this entire process, and it was built over a 2-week period. Most of the work is done on the prompt engineering, a massive opportunity for a new role to emerge, obviously, within our industries, of this role of a prompt engineer who understand exactly how to write the right prompt for the outcome that you're looking to get. But I think a great use case of how we can really reduce time and get that speed to value right, in this case with zero code. Finally, intelligent automation. So spoken to a few people about this today, this idea of automating first-line support. And we did this with a big client of ours, a big Power Platform client, where we manage a big COE service for them. And their product owner set us quite an exciting challenge of, well, let's not only kind of talk the talk, let's walk the walk with this technology. Can we utilize Power Platform, Copilot Studio, and the rich integration framework that Power Platform provides to automate all first-line support around the product? This was by integrating into our knowledge bases within SharePoint, but also into our technical information in Confluence. And I think a really good one is integrating into Jira, because what it enables people to do is if they think a feature for Power Platform would be amazing to introduce, they can directly raise it into our backlog without having to ever raise a ticket. We pick it up. It becomes this amazing end-user experience for first-line support. So this whole concept of first-line support, completely taken away from their service desk, enables support engineers to really focus on the tickets that matter, of improving the platform, fixing bugs, fixing P1 issues, and a great use case that is now within that client being used for all M365 products to automate that first-line support. So just to wrap up, really, so every single organization who is really trying to innovate through whether it's general automation or introducing intelligence within their organization is going to go through this journey. You can't avoid it, and people may fall off the journey at some points as well. But really where we all need to be trying to get to is this ability to continuously innovate. I think that the days of 6-month-long solution build projects just are not right for the speed in which technology is changing at the moment. And I mentioned it at the beginning of really focusing on trying to get automation wins on specific tasks. I think quick wins are really going to matter in this age where every week, every month, technology is changing, new capabilities are coming out. So we don't want to make a 6-month time investment, and once we get to the outcome that we've achieved, there's better options now. We've kind of wasted the time not being iterative with it. So wherever you are on this journey, we've experienced this broadly across automation for a lot of years now. Anyone would be lying if they say they've experienced this lots of times with AI, but we're certainly going on this journey with lots of clients, getting lots of lessons learned in all of these different pockets, whether it's introducing technology, whether it's helping them stand up the right capability team that they need, or whether it's the work around things like business change and adoption that's so important in making things like AI stick with your employees. So yeah, just to wrap up, so I think AI is not the only type of automation, right? There's lots of opportunities still to be had in more logical-based automation opportunities. I think AI is just going to help us achieve certain parts of our employee experience much quicker. Definitely consider those small wins, and this concept I'll go a little bit further down of building a flagship area of your business. We recently built with a people development area of one of our largest clients that we're calling a flagship department, and just for the rest of the business to see this department as a whole innovate, and not a department not just focusing on one use case that's not appropriate for anyone else to really understand. Seeing that automation really come to life across the board, across all areas of one department, has been a great way to get buy-in from other departments within the organisation. Prior to today, because we've got a list of every organisation here, we have pre-qualified everybody for funding that we get through Microsoft. So please do come to our desk, ask what funding is available. It can be from anything around needs assessment around Power Platform to AI use case discovery to Copilot Studio proof of concept builds. It is within the Microsoft space, but yeah, everyone is pre-qualified for certain things, so we do know what we can provide. So yeah, please do come to our stand after the session.